Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Lasham Daily Briefing for Wednesday, the 16th of April, 2025. We'll start, as usual, with the synoptic picture beginning yesterday at lunchtime. You can see quite messy, a lot going on, but there was a reasonable day in the end, or a reasonable afternoon once the low cloud began to clear away. We cycle that through midnight tonight, beg your pardon, midnight last night. The low centre just to the west of Lasham there with fairly a few fronts coming off it. Continuing through, that centre is moving almost directly north up over the sort of Yorkshire area, and then by midnight tonight over the northern tip of Scotland. So the majority of that weather has moved on, but it has left behind some fairly strong winds, which we'll be hearing outside at the moment. And we'll go on to discuss that slightly later on. Although slightly slack isobars are going into tomorrow, so a reasonable picture, but at the moment, see still quite close to the centre. Outlook tomorrow potentially actually quite good, although we've got a bit of a high centred off to the east, but we should still be left with nice unstable air. So tomorrow has potential to be quite a good day. Looking at the SATBIC, most recent UK, you can see lots of cloud over the country at the moment, actually clearing down here, and we can see it starting to break up out the window now. So we should have reasonably clear skies today, with the possibility of some cumulus later on. And associated with all that, with that frontal system, we've got quite a lot of rain. Shouldn't affect us today. It's all off to the west at the minute. And if we look at the Met Office rain forecast, we'll just cycle that through. You can see that's all tracking more or less directly to the north. The occasional shower possibly coming our way, nothing that's going to be especially persistent. And that continues all the way into the evening. So the evening group should have reasonable weather, albeit quite blustery winds. We'll move on to the RF Odium TAF. A little bit longer today, so saying 220, 18 gusting 30. So that's the general theme today, is that quite strong wind. Reasonable visibility, few at 2,000 feet, scattered at 3,000 feet. The prob 40 of broken 2,000. And then later in the afternoon, between 4 and 7, becoming 230, 14 knots. So that's painting a bit of a better picture anyway for the evening group. Certainly more pleasant weather than we have at the moment. Moving on now to Farnborough's TAF. We have a slightly better picture, but still 215 gusting 25, so still fairly blustery. Again, 10k viz with scattered 2,500 and showing subsiding a little bit later in the day, but still suggesting 200 at 20 gusting 35 earlier morning. So nice and strong there as well. Looking at the upper winds now to the south of us, we've got 220, so again, continually southwesterly, 20 knots, which is quite nice, but to the north of us, 35 at 1,000 feet, 40 at 2,000 feet. So for anybody planning any sort of cross-country flying or going outside the airfield, the general situation will be very strong winds, particularly to the north of our location here. Confirming that here just with windy, showing what's quite a brisk southwesterly flow up across Lasham there. The the Met Office forecast again showing at the moment 17 gusting 31, continuing up to a maximum of 34 by lunchtime, then beginning to reduce sort of mid to late afternoon. Excellent visibility throughout, actually 5 on the UV index around midday, but fairly cool at 12, 13 degrees, feeling a bit chillier than that with the wind. So looking at this at the moment, having spoken to the instructors on duty today, I think it's unlikely that we're going to fly in the initial part of the day. What we'll do is we'll likely review it around lunchtime with the team and decide what we do from there. GFS giving us, again, very similar story there, about 12 degrees with a dew point of around 1. And then looking at the webcam here, that's looking north. You can see quite a lot of scraggly cloud. You can see there's the definite impression of the wind there, very broken up. And the last recorded wind strength, we'll just refresh that here. I think they're 14 gusting 21. We have had just short of 40 knots earlier this morning, and we're expecting to see those gusts increase as well. And SkySight now showing us reasonable soaring potential, up to 4 knots to 4,500, 5,000 feet. Problem is that if we look over on the left here, there's an excerpt of thermal strength and the buoyancy shear ratio, and you can see that the thermals are going to be very, very broken today with this strong wind, potentially up to sort of 30, 40 knots at altitude. The thermal top wind showing locally here to be subsiding a little bit, but still maintaining, remaining between 35 and 40 knots southwesterly throughout the day. So that's going to make life quite tricky indeed. Look at the cloud beginning at 9 o'clock local. It's in our location down here, quite broken at the moment, opening up quite nicely. And by sort of midday, it should be more or less clear overhead. Some cumulus scattered about mainly to the north, and then by about 2 or 3 o'clock, more evident around Lasham. Now beginning to fizzle out about 5 o'clock, and remaining clear with possibly scattered low-level clouds later in the day. Looking at our NOTAMs now, nothing unusual. Over here we've got 15 and 17, and that's Boston Stacy. We've got live firing and flares. And 20 and 21, we have outer ranges and Camberley 21, which is flares as well. We'll have a look at the local airfield brief. And as usual, we'll begin with the RF Iridium cross-section. They're showing a very similar picture in terms of cloud, broken stratocumulus and beginning to rise up a little bit to later in the day, cloud base of around 4,500, 5,000 feet. Wind-wise, again, southwesterly, 17 gusting upwards of 30. That's persistent until about 1 o'clock, where you got temporarily gusting a little bit less than that, between 28 and 30. By the time we get to sort of 3 o'clock, it's now down quite significantly, southwesterly 15 knots, and then into the evening, reducing further. So the evening group shouldn't have any issues flying today. And a strong wind warning in place. And we look at glider bookings now. So there are 2 21s allocated for the courses. There are 2 K21s allocated for booked flying, one of which is on instructor training. There's very limited single seat availability, but that's not going to matter very much. If we do fly, certainly it will be on a review basis, but initially no single seaters, it will be K21s only. There was a K13 for the casualist and trial lessons. Trial lessons will be scrubbed today, and we should have 5 K21s available. So one of those will be made available for the casualist as well. It's presently 6 on the casualist, so if we get 1 or 2 instructors, please, even if just to do some ground briefings or simulator work. And the simulator is available as normal with the front trim remaining unserviceable. Nothing to report in terms of movements today. And in summary, we have low pressure centered over the UK with a southerly flow, strong gusty surface winds from the southwest. The runway 27, cables on the grass to the south, air returning from the north, and a potential change to runway 23. If we do fly, please be ready when the cable or tug arrives, and do not land on the or taxi on the disused runways. This would be the airfield setup. I'm not going to go out and set up straight away. I'll go through and have a chat with the duty team as well. I think it's unlikely that we're going to fly during the initial part of the day. It will likely be on review from about 1 o'clock and looking to hopefully get an afternoon out of it. That will segue nicely into the evening group. So if we're on 2-7, this is what it looked like. Winching off the grass to the south, arrow towing from the hard north as normal. And if we do change to 2-3, you can see here, it will be winching off the eastern grass and arrow towing off the western. That's all I have today. I'll see most of you in the clubhouse very shortly. And if we do go out flying, let's make sure we keep it safe and have fun. Thank you.